Hello everyone and welcome back. My name is Mistriner, Coordinator of Culinary Arts here at Niagara County Community College, and I'm with Chef John French, who is our chef de cuisine for our student-run dining room on campus. Well, Chef French, we're finally out of the winter doldrums here, and thank goodness I'm very happy about that. I know my kids are finally happy to be outside running around. But today we put together an Easter meal for everyone, and maybe not the traditional Easter meal, something a little bit different, change some things up a little bit. But what we have here is classic shrimp cocktail with our spicy cocktail sauce, a roast loin of pork with a pineapple and mango chutney versus a traditional roasted or baked ham that would have a pineapple glaze on it. We have some nice steamed broccoli and candy jams with some toasted marshmallows on top. And then to finish off your meal, a lemon meringue pie, which this time of year is fantastic, nice and light and creamy. And of course, thank goodness we have a pastry chef on staff, because it's definitely not my forte. But let's go back and let's talk about this shrimp cocktail for a little bit. Chef French, shrimp cocktail you see all the time in different restaurant menus, and I know a lot of people have different ways of cooking it. Right. What's one of your favorite ways to cook that shrimp cocktail?
One of the best that I found is getting a flavorful liquid. You want to make sure that the liquid you poach your shrimp in is very flavorful. You want as much flavor as possible. You might think it's over-seasoned at times because of the flavor that is, but you're just poaching it, okay? So what you do is you bring a flavorful liquid to a boil, you toss your shrimp in, turn off the heat, and let it poach that way. You don't want to overcook shrimp. It tends to get very tough if you overcook it. So very light boil, and then you maybe want to let it in there maybe 3-4 minutes. Okay. And then take it out.
All right. With going with that flavorful liquid for our folks at home, what are some of the things you might be able to put in there?
They have a lot of commercial things that you can use, crab boils and things like that. Or you can use what I've seen in restaurants and things is what's called a pickling spice. Okay. You can throw that in as well. It just aerates, aromatics, make it very flavorful. So
some bay leaf, some black pepper, some lemon.
Right.
All right, wonderful, wonderful. And Chef French is right. Shrimp cooks very quickly and it becomes very tough and rubbery, and they like to curl up. What I like to do once they're poached for 3 or 4 minutes is to take a strainer, strain them, and then lay them out in a tray and let them cool at room temperature for a few minutes before you put them into the refrigerator.
Yeah, because they'll continue cooking.
Exactly. You'll have a little carryover cooking, and if you put something really hot or kind of break from boiling into the refrigerator, obviously it's going to cause some condensation and things like that in your refrigerator. So a nice simple poach, lay them on a tray and let them air cool for a few minutes. Great, I like that idea. And again, that's something everyone you can do ahead of time. Get them done a day ahead of time, put them in the refrigerator. Easter Sunday's busy trying to get everyone off to Mass or whatever you do with your families. If you can get that done a day ahead of time, leave it in the refrigerator and that morning, plate it up, or actually you can probably plate it up even the day before if you really wanted to. Wonderful. So that's a nice, easy tip and trick for our folks at home. Here in the center, again, everyone, I know my family anyways, always has baked ham for Easter. Nothing against you, Aunt Teresa, it's very good. But something a little bit different. We took a pork loin today and roasted that. And again, pork, so you're still serving pork at Easter Sunday, but something a little bit different. Give me some options here. Things that we can do with this pork loin.
A pork loin, oven roasting is probably the best method to use. Using a dry heat method. You want it probably about 375, your oven. The reason for that is you want to get a nice golden crust on it. Okay. Depending on the size of your pork loin, it'll vary on how long it's going to be in there. Okay. But a general rule of thumb is if you have a thermometer, I would take it out probably around 155-ish. Okay. Because it will have carryover to cooking. You want it to be at least 165. Exactly. To be food, properly cooked and safe.
One of the things that chefs also do is instead of putting it into the oven and having it brown in the oven, they'll kind of brown on the stovetop in a Teflon pan or something like that to get a little bit of a crust on it and some Maillard reaction going and some caramelization of the sugars and the protein. And so they'll brown it a little bit, chop up some herbs or some spices, whatever, really, you decide as the cook or the chef that day. Coat it with some herbs and spices, put it in the oven, and Chef French is right. You want that internal temperature to 165 degrees from a food safety standpoint, but also if you cook it to 165 degrees, you take it out of the oven and it sits on the stove top or the counter to rest or cool, because you never want to cut it right out of the oven because your juices will run out. You want it to set for a little bit. What will happen is if you cook it to 165, it will continue to cook anywhere from 8 to 10 degrees.
At least,
for a roast. So if you can take it out 8 or 10 degrees below 165, it will continue to cook for you, so you have a nice moist roast pork loin. And pork is one of those dishes that when it's cooked properly, it's great, it's flavorful, it's moist, and it's juicy. And if it's overcooked, as we all know, it gets pretty dry.
And a couple other tips, like Chef Mark said, was you can sear it in a pan, creating a seal, which seals in the juices as well. Another one that I like to do, and I found it works very well, is creating a brine for it.
Okay.
Brine would be a salt sugar solution, and you let it go overnight, and then you do the process of cooking your roast, and it lends to a super moist product.
That's a great tip for our viewers at home, and I like to brine our turkey. I do. Thanksgiving is my house, and Easter is Aunt Teresa's house. But this way, again, I always brine my turkey, and it's always so moist. And again, turkey, just like pork, you cook it a little too long, it's going to be dry with you. Basic steamed broccoli, all right?
Steamed broccoli. Trick to that is, obviously, you want to set that color, get that nice, beautiful green, and then take it out as quickly as possible. A lot of people tend to overcook it, and it gets that army green.
Army green color. Yeah. One tip, and we try and teach the students all the time, is the pot should have ample amounts of water in it. And Chef Thomas Keller, famous American chef, teaches. It's called big pot blanching. And you want more than enough water, and at a rolling boil, salted of course.
Salted, yes.
When you put your green vegetable in, it continues to boil. A lot of times, we have a small pot. As soon as we put our green vegetable in, it stops boiling, and what happens is you lose the chlorophyll out of it, and you lose the color, and it ends up in the pot. So big pot boiling, it stays to that rolling boil, and what's nice is you'll end up with a nice green color. Comes out, a little butter, salt, and pepper, and right into the serving dish. So fantastic. Candy jams. I mean, the classic there.
Right.
Any tips for that?
When I tend to do these, I like to make what is called a compound butter.
Okay.
Which is you get softened butter, then you add your brown sugar, your cinnamon, your nutmeg, your clove, whatever you want, and you mix it in with the butter, and then you slather it on your yam pieces, and then you bake it off that way. And it creates a nice caramelization, nice sugary, buttery yams.
Fantastic, wonderful, and then little marshmallows there, and get them toasted up at the end. And just be careful, everyone at home. The liquid or the glaze or the syrup, the butter that Chef French is talking about, gets very, very hot. So when you take those out of the oven, you don't want to spill that on you, because it'll give you a pretty bad burn. Especially the sugar is one of the worst burns we can get in the kitchen. And we talk to the students all the time about, especially those pastry students, when they're cooking sugar for decoration. Looks like a great meal. I love it. Good color on the broccoli.
Very nice.
Anyways, just picking on you there. Our lemon meringue pie. Well, we are not pastry chefs, and we really don't pretend to be pastry chefs. And we have a wonderful pastry instructor here, Maria Iacoviti, who's our coordinator of our baking and pastry program here. Lemon meringue pie. Here she did it with a little of a graham cracker crust.
Yes.
With her lemon curd on top, her meringue, egg whites, a little cream of tartar, whipped up, spread on top, and then really, really hot oven to brown the top surface of that. Some chefs like it a little browner, some don't. She put a nice decoration with the pastry bag on top. Some people just dollop it on top and kind of have a rough peak or a soft peak on top and brown it that way. The nice thing is she paired it with some fresh fruit, berries there, some raspberry, some blackberry, which gives a nice contrast to the tart and sweet lemon and the sweet berries there. But really, I don't think there's a Easter that we don't have lemon meringue pie.
It's a great way to end.
And
sure.
In our family, my father-in-law makes a great lemon meringue pie. So my father-in-law Frank, I'll throw a little shout out to you there. But again, something a little bit non-traditional for a meal today, everyone at home. And the thing to remember is it's a holiday. It should be enjoyed with family and friends, stress-free as possible. I know when you're cooking for a bunch of people, it gets a little bit tough and the stress comes up, trying to get things done a little bit ahead of time. The shrimp cocktail could be done ahead of time. Your broccoli could be cut up ahead of time. You can brine the pork, as Chef French had mentioned. Okay, your yams can be in a pan, ready to go in the oven. And again, that lemon meringue pie could be baked ahead of time without the meringue. Put the meringue on the day of, brown it in the morning. Fantastic, it's ready to go. So from Chef John French and myself to all of you at home, have a great, happy, and safe Easter.
Happy
And
holidays.
we'll see you again.